Hello and welcome to my review for Send Help. Okay, so we saw this movie last night, and it was incredibly good. So I will do a spoiler-free section for this movie because it did just come out about a couple weeks ago. We saw it a little later. It did drop, I think, like January 30th, so like 2 weeks ago from when I'm recording this. So it's not freshly new, but it's still new. It's still in theaters and everything. So I will do a spoiler-free. So spoiler-free. This is a good survival horror comedy movie. I don't know if they were definitely shooting for comedy in this movie. Dylan O'Brien. It's Rachel McAdams, Dylan O'Brien, directed by Sam Raimi, who, I'm not super, my bag of director knowledge isn't very deep, but I know that Sam Raimi started out with doing Evil Dead, so he started out doing horror, but he made the Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, which I covered on my channel. And I really like this movie, man. I didn't expect. We saw the trailer for it when we went to go see Avatar in December, and I remember in my brain thinking, I don't want to see this. This movie doesn't look very good. But we went and saw it, and I was so wrong, and I'm so glad that we went to see it because it's incredible. It's like actually an amazing movie, and like a lot of movies that I see, like for example, like Predator Badlands or something, right? It's a movie that I enjoy a lot, but am I going to be like, yo, let's throw this on and let's throw this on and rewatch it? Maybe not, maybe, but like most likely not. Send Help is a movie that I absolutely would rewatch multiple times. And I'm not even talking about just to, catch things I didn't catch this first time. No, this movie made me laugh like uncontrollably. And again, they were definitely going for some comedic moments. Dylan O'Brien's character in this movie, his acting is very good. He's supposed to be a kind of a-hole douchebag boss character, but his facial acting is so funny in this movie. And there's a lot of funny moments with Rachel McAdams, but Dylan O'Brien, like there's moments where he's just by himself and he's like not even talking, and I was laughing, and it's so good. But I think that if you like horror movies, this is a good one. And you should definitely go see it. Go check this movie out. I would never recommend a movie like go seeing it in theaters if I didn't think it was worth it, but I absolutely think seeing this movie in theaters is 110% worth seeing. Again, ticket prices and stuff for movies, everything nowadays is just getting more and more and more expensive, so it's harder to live and enjoy. But if you have the capabilities to go to the movie and you enjoy going to the movies, this is a great a theater film to go see. But yeah, I'm gonna jump into the spoiler stuff. I don't really know how much there else is to say. I laughed uncontrollably during this movie, and again, maybe it's not as funny as I thought it was, but I've seen a lot of stuff of Dylan O'Brien in real life, like how he is as a person, not an actor, and he's a very likable person. So when he's playing this role and some of the funny stuff, if you know him as a not that I know him personally, but I've seen him outside of acting, and knowing that side of him and then seeing this movie, it made me laugh really well. But yeah, I'm gonna jump into the spoilers now. So basically, the thing I like about this movie after completely finishing it, like not while during, but after we got out of the theater, is this movie has a very unreliable narrator is what I was trying to find there. Rachel McAdams is undoubtedly the main character. I mean, you could argue that Dylan O'Brien and her are the main characters, but everything basically revolves around her, and she is a unreliable narrator. There was a point early on in the movie where when they first get on the island, where it's kind of cutting very fast, where like she'll do something, she'll build a little shelter, and then it'll cut to like a day later or whatever. And I was like, that's odd. Like the movie, instead of it like sitting on like day one, which it does, it spends some time on the first day where she finds Dylan O'Brien on the shores, and she builds a shelter for him. She goes and tries to get water. She tries to get food and everything. But it does spend some time on like, each day it gives a little bit of time to, but it feels like it's cutting very fast, and I think that it's done on purpose because again, she is the the narrator. Everything is basically seen through her eyes, and there's some stuff later on in the movie where it cuts away really quick, and you're like, okay, you're just supposed to assume that she goes back to Dylan O'Brien and hangs out. Specifically, what I'm talking about is when she sees the boat, where you think that the boat is a search and rescue, and she's like, I don't want to get found yet. And so she doesn't say anything to Dylan O'Brien, but later in the movie, it cuts to she actually followed the boat to see where it was going, and she found the house and everything. And that's why I think this movie is done really well, because you think that, she is trying to do everything in her power, and she's the main character, she's the good one. But it's not like that. Both of these characters, Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams' characters, are both kind of crazy a little bit. Maybe not even a little bit. They're crazy. At least Rachel McAdams' character, when after being there for a while, gets there, and Dylan O'Brien's character is just a douchebag asshole boss character who's kind of been given everything in his life. Obviously there's a couple of scenes that explain explain why he is how he is, but yeah, I found this movie so funny. There's some moments that I can't even remember, that I just remember laughing all the time during this movie, and it's like a dark comedy. One thing I have to bring up is Dylan O'Brien's laugh in the jet. It was in the trailer, so I'll play a clip really quick of the laugh that I'm talking about.
Take your seats, if you're a little bitch.
But it reminded me so much of Ray Liotta's character in Wild Hogs, which is such a random pull from my brain. But his laugh on the plane is made me laugh because it's such a douchebag, privileged laugh. But this movie, I can't get over how funny it is. And like I said, we saw the trailer for this watching Avatar, and I remember being like, this doesn't look good, because I don't know why. I rewatched the trailer, and I don't know where I got any of this from, but in my brain, this seemed like a survival rom-com movie, where, and it has romance elements where they open up to each other and they sit and they talk and they appreciate each other for the yada yada whatever. But when I saw the trailer, or when I remember the trailer, I thought it was like these two characters are together and they end up on an island and they have to try to live, and I thought it was they were already in love together. That's not it at all. He's completely a douchebag, completely piece of shit, whatever. And yeah, so I don't know where I got that from, but I remember being like, I don't have to really care for seeing it. But again, like I said earlier, I'm so glad that I did, because it's so good, it's so funny. But basically, the plot boils down to Rachel McAdams is a planner, or she works at this company, and she's promised a raise. The man, Dylan O'Brien's father, who we never get to actually see, promised her to be raised to vice president, which is that's a big jump. She's been there for 7 years, she says, and she's been waiting for this promotion, and the father ends up passing away, leaving it all to Dylan O'Brien. And Dylan O'Brien is big frat bro, big, he's just one of those archetypes of people, those doesn't care about the smaller guy, just does whatever he wants because he's big owner of the business or whatever. And they do a really good setup with stuff, for example, she eats tuna fish. She watches Survivor, and she reads all these Survivor books and learning how to survive in the wilderness, and she even did a Survivor tape or whatever to try to get her on the TV show. And obviously Dylan O'Brien and his douchebag bros all make fun of her for it, whatever. But they do a lot of setup where she eats tuna fish and he doesn't like the smell, or I'm assuming the taste. He doesn't like fishy stuff. And later on in the movie, when they're on the island, she's like, you need sustenance, and she tries to feed him fish, and he's like, like eating it, and he wants to it's so funny. I can't get off how funny this movie was, because I didn't expect it, but it really actually tickled me in a way that I didn't think. Like, I think it's like, it definitely, there are moments where this movie is going for comedy, but just some of the line deliveries from Dylan O'Brien, whether or not they were trying to be funny, I found them funny and I liked it a lot. I really like this movie, and I 100% would rewatch it. But basically, because she has all this survivor knowledge and Dylan O'Brien's character has none at all, she basically has to take care of him on this island, and he kind of learns from her. And as time goes on, she likes the control that she has out in the wilderness, because in the office life or whatever, she is at the whim of others, Dylan O'Brien specifically. If she can work her absolute ass off, and if Dylan O'Brien's character, which I'm pretty sure his name is Bradley, and her name is Linda, but I'm just gonna call them by their real life names because it's easier for you to picture. At least it's easier for me to picture. But Dylan O'Brien's character, she is at the whim of him. Like, if he doesn't want to give her the raise, he just doesn't have to, and it doesn't matter how long she's been there or how hard she's worked for it, he doesn't have to give it to her. And it sucks, and it's real. When she's out in the woods, or in the island or whatever, because she has all this knowledge and he doesn't, she likes it. She likes being in control of him because he can't really do anything for himself. And it's a really cool thing. And I was thinking about it today before this review, where the power that people have, it goes to their heads. Dylan O'Brien, he is the head of the company. He can do literally whatever he wants, and you're like, God, this guy's such a douchebag, whatever. But then when Rachel McAdams and him are on the island, and he relies on her, and she gets that power trip of he needs me to do anything, she kind of does the same thing, where she tries to control him. There's a point where Dylan O'Brien's fiance, who earlier in the movie was showed, she shows up looking for Dylan O'Brien and whoever else was in the crash, and she literally pushes them off a cliff so that they don't get found, because she wants to stay in charge. And that basically kicks off the third act, or like the final bit of the movie, where he knows that she killed his fiance who is trying to help them, and she wants to stay on the island, and they basically get into a fight. It's gruesome. He puts his thumb almost in her eye. She stabs him in the side with a knife. It's super well done. I really like this movie. I'm gonna say this movie's like a 9. I'm gonna say this movie's a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. This movie made me laugh so much, and I know I keep going back to that, and that's probably really frustrating and really annoying to be like, okay, we get it, it's funny, but like I was pleasantly, Jesus, I'm so stupid, pleasantly surprised at how funny this movie was, but also how well it was. And then when you look at it in hindsight, Linda, or Rachel McAdams' character, is crazy in the things that she does. Like, she like laughs to herself a lot, or like she does like these like really weird quirky things, and the movie kind in the beginning tries to make her seem like the weird girl that nobody likes or nobody talks to, but she's kind of just a little crazy. And again, Dylan O'Brien's character is a bad person. There's a scene in the movie before, obviously, they fly out and land on the island, because majority of the movie's on the island. The first, 15-20 minutes, it might not even be that long. That might be extending it longer than it is. But 15-20 minutes is, in the office, in the workspace. You get a little bit of Linda's home life. But yeah, like a lot of people don't. Dylan O'Brien being a piece of shit. He's hiring a new chick, and he's like, I don't know, let's see if you're a fit, but how above and beyond are you willing to go? Basically trying to get sexual pleasure to give her the job, which is obviously, again, very real, but it's gross. And they also reference a lot of the stuff that he says, like him being a douchebag boss. When they're on the island, she says those to him, and it's it's a reversal of, he hears it when he's in the underling position instead of the boss position. And yeah, I really like this movie. I think it on a second rewatch, it would make so much more sense, but the first watch is really good because the way that it's shot and it's cut, and it's a good horror movie. It's scary. It's got good jump scares that made my wife jump anyway, and then when she jumps, it makes me jump because the loudness isn't what got me. It's her jumping that scared me. But anyway, yeah, I think you should absolutely go see this movie. You know, I'm gonna have this coming out, I think, next week. So it might not be in theaters by the time this comes out, but that's all right. But yeah, like I said, 10 out of 10 on this movie in my enjoyment factor. I love this movie and I absolutely would rewatch it. So let me know what you guys think. If you saw it, if you didn't, if you're skeptical, I think you should definitely go give it a shot. I don't know if it's going to come to streaming or how long until it comes to streaming. So, you know, if you're like, I don't really have the money, or, you know, I'm busy, I can't really get out, that's okay, you know, but I think you should definitely give it a shot if it comes to streaming for whatever platform. But yeah, let me know what you think, and have a good day. Thank you.